Hello, everyone. So, before we get started today on the news, I just want to once again inform everybody that Jim Shooter passed away last week. I actually made a video specifically about Jim Shooter and his legacy on comics. What you should know is that comic books wouldn't be the massive industry they are today without Jim Shooter. Amongst other things, Jim Shooter gave us Secret Wars. He oversaw the Frank Miller run on Daredevil. He oversaw the Byrne run on the Fantastic Four. He was the one who inked a lot of the deals that would lead to the X-Men and Marvel cartoons of the 90s. Even though he was an editor, that's what his legacy will ultimately be, his writing was also impeccable. He's the man who invented the Parasite, one of my favorite Superman villains. As I said, I have a whole video discussing him. The reason I want to bring him up on this news video is, of course, he's also the man who did the initial 6-page treatment of Transformers. He came up with the basic idea. He came up with the idea that the war was going to be fought over energy. And he came up with the idea that the truck will be the leader and all of the cars will be under him. In terms of the name Optimus Prime, it's actually not clear if he came up with it or if O'Neill came up with it. In any case, there's no denying that Jim Shooter was integral to that initial concept. So I just want to pay my proper respects here. And as I said, if you would like to learn more, go check out that video I made on Wednesday. Going into some of the news this week. So, we are getting in-hand images of the Rathalos Optimus, and it looks pretty cool still. I mean, I can't say anything that I've not already said. We've had this thing in the news cycle so many times. I'm just ready for it to come out at this point. Very similarly, we're getting a better look at the Macross Transformer. I didn't realize that he came with essentially Rodimus Prime's trailer, and that's what turned into his stage. That's actually kind of funny. We also know what the NFL Transformers are going to look like in box. Terrible is how they're going to look. Third party. There was a couple things to talk about. So, TFCon Toronto has already announced one of their exclusives. Fans Hobby is going to be continuing with their line of Predators. This looks pretty cool. I like this guy a lot. Is this Snare? I'm real bad with the Predators. I remember, of course, Skyquake. I think this is Snare. I might be very, very wrong, though. And, of course, gold plastic, but Fans Hobby, I would definitely say they probably didn't use the bad gold plastic. It's just whenever I see Predators with gold plastic, I get real worried. In much lighter news, Dr. Wu is going to be doing a new colorway of his Slugfest and Overkill. I don't think these are Shattered Glass colors. They might be. I'm not familiar enough with the Shattered Glass Casseticons. But still, they look pretty cool. Official reveals. Well, I need to tell you guys right now, Hasbro has done something barbaric. They have spit in the face of the fans. They have insulted me. They have insulted you. They've come into my house. They've slapped my mom. They slept with my dad. They stole my lunch money, and they poured my milk down the sink. They have made asses of us all. I can't believe the slander, the disrespect, the sheer hatred they are showing me and you today. They changed Thundercracker's tailwing. I just realized I said Hasbro did this. It's Takara Tomy, isn't it? The Dramatic Capture series, they've literally just changed how they did the colors on Thundercracker's wings. And I think that it's actually more accurate the way that they've changed it. And if it's not more accurate, it looks a whole lot better. I hate this weird inverted F they have going on in the initial one. I saw some people get mad about this. I have no idea how you have the energy to get mad about this. But there we go. It looks good. It looks real good. if I didn't already have this Thundercracker and Reflector, I'd go in for this dramatic capture figure. And if you don't have Thundercracker or Reflector, I'd say, hey, go in on this. It's going to be pretty cool, it looks like. eHobby is also doing some pretty cute acrylic stuff. So Tarn, the boy, getting represented. Good. Also G1 Megatron, looking pretty cute. And then I saw some people think that this next one is Shatterglass Optimus. It's not. That's Magna Convoy. Magna Convoy is essentially just Diaclone Color Optimus Prime. So not Shatterglass Optimus, but close. If you wanted this to be Shatterglass Optimus, it looks really similar. I'll give you that. And now we're just talking about rumors. Keep in mind, you gotta take these things with an absolute grain of salt. We do not know for sure if this is real. Supposedly, Masterpiece movie might be coming back, and they might be tackling Revenge of the Fallen Sideswipe, which would be cool, because that's one of the better designs from Bayverse. It'd be interesting to see a high-end take on it. There's also potentially going to be a Missing Link Nemesis Prime. But again, take this with a grain of salt. I know that this supposedly, I'm using big air quotes here, I know this comes from a reliable leaker. All I'm going to say is, all it takes for you to become a reliable leaker is being right twice at Shots in the Dark. I remember when Geno and Smash was sent out by a reliable leaker. So, will these happen? Maybe. I would be just as, I would be just as nonplussed if they didn't happen. Like, it might happen, but I don't think they will. I just don't. Alright. So, there is something in the news cycle that does directly connect to Transformers as a hobby, because it involves Vietnam. If you do not want to see this part, that's okay. Just cut off now. As always, I'm going to do my very best to give it to you as matter-of-factly as I can. But the news, this is coming directly from the administration. We have not heard from any member of the cabinet. This is coming from the head of the executive branch. And, of course, it was sent out on Truth Social. And what it essentially says is that there has been a trade deal penned with Vietnam. And this trade deal says that the United States will have a 20% tariff on any goods imported from Vietnam, and a 40% tariff on any trans-shipping, which means that they're opening up the door of trans-shipping. Originally, that had been fully blocked. And in turn, Vietnam will have 0 tariffs on U.S. items. And then the head of the administration outright says that SUVs, or large engine vehicles, would be a good thing to start importing into Vietnam. There's so much wrong with this. So let's just take it from the top. Nothing has changed. Like, it staggers me that this was in the news cycle for, 40 minutes, because we live in a horrible world and everything, regardless of how good or bad it is, just gets passed over real quick. And we never actually stop to actually think about anything. We just spout out whatever we hear. We already had a 20% tariff on Vietnam. The only thing new here is the 40% tariff on trans-shipping. And by the way, this isn't a big deal that Vietnam will have an open line of trade with the United States. They already did. Yes, the Vietnam War happened, and it was bad, and there's a lot of bad blood, but American companies already work in Vietnam. The issue is, Vietnam doesn't consume the same way that the U.S. does. There is almost nothing that the U.S. exports that Vietnam imports. And even this specific idea, the idea of SUVs, no, that's not going to work. Because in Vietnam, the majority of vehicles owned are either electric vehicles, smaller cars, or scooters. In Vietnam, like many Asian countries, they prefer smaller, more accessible, and hardier vehicles. They don't go in for SUVs or big trucks. I want you to know, SUVs and the Ford F-150 and all this other stuff, that is a uniquely American stench. And yes, there are some people all around the world who are going to like certain cars. But your average day citizen in Vietnam, no, they're not going in for an SUV. Where the hell would they park it? You got to remember, Vietnam is a very densely populated country. Very similar to Japan, very similar to Thailand, very similar to Laos. And like all those countries, they prefer smart cars and smaller vehicles. That's the reason why when you look at a lot of the companies that are from Japan or other Asian countries that export their cars to the United States, they make smaller cars. Like, go and look. Toyota, Nissan, they have smaller cars, generally speaking. Honda, same way. Now, they do make some larger cars just for the U.S. market, but in their home market, they stick to small vehicles. So why am I bringing all this up? Well, of course, in Vietnam, that is where most Transformers are ultimately put together and stated to be shipped from. So that means that all Transformers are going to be subject to a 20% tariff. And of course, the tariff is not paid by Vietnam, it's paid by people who are importing it into the United States. So the tariff is going to be handled by HASBRO and by the stores and by you, ultimately. And then there's the 40% tariff on trans-shipping. What trans-shipping means is essentially you're going to ship it to another country and then from that country ship it over. So that is something that Hasbro actually already does. We've talked about it before. A lot of Transformers are actually put together or partially put together in China before being finally packaged and assembled in Vietnam. That's trans-shipping. It's just a way to try to get around certain tariffs or trade barriers. What this is saying is that if you enter Vietnam, there will be a 40% tariff on that for trans-shipping. So double the tariff cost. So if we were to take just a normal Transformer toy, like let's say a deluxe. Well, deluxes are going for nearly $30 nowadays. So that's going to be an extra $6 put on that deluxe. And if it were to go the other direction, which is to say trans-shipping, that's an extra $12 put on that deluxe. The thing that bothers me the most is that I see so many YouTube videos, especially, which, you know, YouTubers, even me, I want you to know I did my research. You should still probably consider me a moron. But how many news sources are talking about this like it's a major signing of a new deal? Nothing happened. Nothing has changed, aside from the addition of the 40% tariff. But then again, I have to realize I'm having to deal with people who actually think that if you put a tariff on a country, that country pays for it. We are so uneducated on tariffs that there's no way to break through to some of these people and tell them that if I put a 20% tariff on Vietnam, I'm paying that tariff. Now, is this going to hurt Vietnam's economy because they're going to be shipping less stuff because less demand? Yeah, sure. It's also going to be hurting our economy because we're spending a lot more. But hey, that's the real news for the day. So, what's coming up, what's coming out? The big thing, or one of the big things, is the 10K Q&A should be out on Wednesday. This is a great piece of fan art. This was done by Spoink. They offered it to me for the Many Toys of Cosmos, but unfortunately by that point I had already commissioned a thumbnail. But I would like to use it for my Q&A video, and I am really, really taken with it. It's such a cute little Cosmos, and I'm hoping that this is going to be up on Wednesday, barring something unforeseen. It will be, but there is a possibility that something could happen. You never know. It's been real stormy around here lately. I actually lost power for a good chunk of last night, so I couldn't work on the video. So we'll just have to wait and see. However, one video that is ready to go, it is already cooking. It's able to come out, and it will come out on Friday to celebrate 10,000 subscribers. The Many Toys of Starscream. Over 400 toys. an over 2-hour long video. Many of you guys joke about Ron Bon the John the movie when I did like a 50-minute episode for RC. No, baby. This is Ron Bon the John the movie. 120 minutes of me talking about Starscream. I hope all of you enjoy it. I had a great time putting it together, and I can only hope and pray that you guys will be able to appreciate it and know that I made it with just utter amazement that so many of you were willing to support me and my stuff. I made it as a thank you, and I hope that it suffices. But that is going to be this week on the channel. I know we had to talk about something kind of heavy today, but I still want to... Actually, no, I think I'm going to hold off on producer credits just because, again, whenever something like this comes up, there are a handful of people who get very, 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 very ugly. And I think I just want to avoid that going around. So, no producer credits today, but I want to thank everyone so much for watching, and we'll see what we get up to next time.